Every single morning you wake up, you are making a high-stakes trade, and you are likely getting robbed. You are trading the irreplaceable, finite hours of your existence for green pieces of paper, and you are calling it making a living. But in reality, you aren't making a living, you are making a dying. Effectively trading your life energy for objects you rarely even have the time to enjoy. If you keep walking down this path, you will wake up at 65 and realize you've traded your entire life for a pile of stuff, and a status you never really wanted. The promise of this philosophy is simple, yet utterly profound. By treating your money not as currency, but as your own precious life energy, you can reverse this toxic transaction, buy back your autonomy, and achieve true financial independence decades earlier than society allows. This revolutionary shift from being a passive accumulator of things to an active owner of your own time is the cornerstone of the masterclass, laid out in the pages of Vicki Robin and Joe Dominguez's seminal, completely updated work, Your Money or Your Life. It is not a guide to beating the stock market. It is a blueprint for reclaiming your human dignity from the consumerist machine. Chapter number 1: The Money Trap *. To understand the money trap, you must first descend into the cellular level of your existence and confront a singular, haunting truth. You are trading your life for paper. We have been socially programmed to believe that money is an external commodity, something we get from an employer. But Vicki Robin and Joe Dominguez demand a more visceral realization. Money is not just currency, it is your life energy. It is the literal manifestation of the seconds, minutes, and hours of your heartbeat that you will never get back. When you spend money, you aren't just lowering a balance in a digital app. You are permanently deleting a portion of your finite time on this planet. The first psychological barrier to freedom is the ghost of the past. Most of us live in a state of chronic financial amnesia, refusing to look back at the trail of spent life we've left behind. To break this, you must perform a financial autopsy calculating every cent that has ever entered your life. This is a profound moment of reckoning, when you see the total sum, the hundreds of thousands or even millions of dollars. It represents the cumulative life energy you have already surrendered. If that massive sum has vanished, replaced only by a house full of clutter and a lingering sense of exhaustion, you are witnessing the leakage of your soul. You have been making a dying instead of making a living. This leads us to the psychological trap of the real hourly wage. We tell ourselves we earn a certain salary, but our brains filter out the shadow costs. Once you subtract the time and money spent on commuting, the specialized wardrobe, the expensive convenience meals consumed because you are too depleted to cook, and the escapism spending required to numb the stress of the job, your actual wage collapses. You might find that you are selling your precious life energy for a pittance. This realization is designed to trigger a healthy sense of existential revolt. It forces you to look at every price tag and ask the only question that matters. Is this object worth the hours of my life I had to kill to obtain it? The path to reclamation requires you to confront your wall chart. This isn't just data, it is a mirror. By tracking every cent of life energy and comparing it to the fulfillment it actually brings, you begin to see the fulfillment curve. We are raised to believe that more money always equals more happiness, but psychology proves that once our basic needs are met, the curve flattens and then begins to drop. Every purchase beyond enough actually adds clutter, maintenance, and anxiety, further draining your life energy. True freedom arrives at the crossover point, where the income from your saved life energy, your investments, finally exceeds your monthly expenses. Psychologically, this is a moment of rebirth. The chains of the consumerist machine fall away, and for the first time, your time belongs entirely to you. You stop being a passenger in a system designed to keep you working, and start becoming the architect of your own destiny. You realize that enough is the most powerful word in the human language, and once you reach it, you can finally stop making a dying and begin, for the very first time, to truly live. Chapter 2: Converting dollars into destiny. Transformation of your financial life begins the moment you stop looking at prices in currency and start looking at them as a subtraction from your mortality. This is the profound psychological pivot of converting dollars into destiny. Most of us move through the world in a state of transactional hypnosis. We see a digital number on a screen or a price tag on a shelf, and we weigh that number against our bank balance. But this is a shallow, dangerous way to live because bank balances can be replenished, while time cannot. To master the art of spending, you must adopt a new unit of measurement, the hour of your life. Every time you are tempted to buy something, you must perform a silent, internal calculation. You take the total cost of the item and divide it by your real hourly wage, that stripped down, honest number that accounts for the hidden costs of your employment. When you do this, a $1,000 smartphone is no longer just a piece of glass and silicon. It is 40, 50, or perhaps 60 hours of your life energy. It represents a full week of waking up early, commuting through traffic, navigating office politics, and sacrificing your personal peace. When you view it through this lens, the shiny object loses its luster and takes on a weight. You begin to ask yourself, is this object worth a week of my life that I will never get back? This is the ultimate defense against the impulse buy. It forces your subconscious to confront the reality that you are literally killing yourself incrementally, hour by hour, to accumulate things. Psychologically, this process creates a tabulation of truth. By categorizing every cent you spend into these units of life energy, you begin to see patterns of waste that were previously invisible. You might realize that you are spending 3 months of every year just to pay for a car that sits in a garage while you work to pay for it, or that you are trading 2 hours of every day just to fund a habit that brings you only 20 minutes of fleeting pleasure. This tabulation is not about deprivation. It is about valuation. It is the act of deciding that your life energy is too precious to be squandered on the trivial. As you continue this practice, your relationship with the material world begins to shift from ownership to stewardship. You stop being a consumer, a word that literally means to use up, waste, or destroy, and you start being a guardian of your own time. You find that the high of a new purchase is increasingly replaced by the calm of retained life energy. This is where the seeds of financial independence are sown. Every dollar you choose not to spend is an hour of your future self that you have just bought back. You are slowly building a reservoir of freedom, an accumulation of hours that will eventually allow you to walk away from the money trap forever. By converting your dollars back into destiny, you are essentially buying your soul back from the marketplace 1 hour at a time. Chapter 3: The 3 Questions of Fulfillment. You have successfully converted your life energy into a new unit of measurement. You face the most difficult psychological audit of your existence, the 3 questions. This is not a casual exercise. It is a profound confrontation with your own identity. We are raised in a consumerist ecosystem that conditions us to believe that spending is an automatic response to discomfort, boredom, or the desire for status. But the moment you apply these 3 questions to every expense category, you break the spell of transactional hypnosis and force your brain to switch from reactive mode to deliberate mode. The first question: did I receive fulfillment and satisfaction in proportion to the life energy spent? Is a direct challenge to the hedonic treadmill, the psychological phenomenon where we constantly chase new stimuli, only to return to our baseline level of happiness shortly after a purchase. When you honestly answer this, you often find that the expensive dinner out was merely a way to cope with work stress, or that the subscription service you never use is just a digital phantom draining your hours. It isn't about shaming yourself for having fun. It is about recognizing whether the happiness you bought was actually a durable asset or a fleeting dopamine spike that left you empty. The second question: is this expenditure in alignment with my values and purpose? Acts as a sieve. It separates the social signal spending buying things to look successful to strangers from the value-aligned spending buying things that foster growth, health, or genuine connection. Many of us are walking around carrying the financial burdens of a persona we never actually chose. We buy the expensive car to satisfy a shadow of insecurity. We buy the trendy wardrobe because we fear being cast out of the tribe. When you map your spending against your core values, the disconnect often becomes painful. You realize you have been trading your limited life energy to purchase a life that doesn't actually belong to you. The final question, how would this spending change if I didn't have to work for a living, is perhaps the most powerful psychological tool in your arsenal. It is the ultimate truth serum. If you find that an item is something you would stop buying the moment you achieved financial independence, it means that item is not a true luxury or a necessity. It is a compensation mechanism for the misery of your job. It is a bribe you pay yourself to tolerate a life you don't love. By rigorously applying these 3 questions, you stop being a passive consumer and start becoming a conscious architect. You begin to define enough, a place of profound psychological power, where you stop needing the more that the market promises and start valuing the freedom that only retention can provide. This transition is not about self-denial. It is about self-reclamation. You are systematically weeding out the expenditures that don't serve your soul, creating the necessary space for the life you were actually meant to live.